Hi, today we'll see the radial basis function network. The RBF network is a multi-layer perceptron network where we are having an input layer and an output layer, and in between input layer and output layer a single hidden layer is allowed. In the input layer there are n number of neurons, in the output layer there are m number of neurons. The working of the hidden layer is different as compared to the working of the output layer. In the hidden layer, the Euclidean distance is calculated and the cluster are formed. Then the output layer serves the same purpose as that of different neural networks, that is input multiplied by the weight matrix or the weight vector, and the activation function is applied and the output is displayed. So this part does the clustering and here we'll get the output. Now this connection between the input layer and the hidden layer is called as the hypothetical connection, and the connection which is present between hidden layer and the output layer is called as the weighted connection. The user can set these values and these values are the system defined values. Now we'll see how these values are calculated. Now, in the RBF, the Gaussian matrix is used. The Gaussian matrix of input minus target square is defined as exponential, that is e raised to minus m into x minus t square divided by the d max square. Here, the x represents the input, t represent the selected centers, m represent the number of selected centers, and d max represent the maximum Euclidean distance between the selected centers. Now, Gaussian matrix is designed as the first column represent the hidden function for the first center, then the hidden function for the second center, and the third column is reserved for the bias. Now, after calculating the Gaussian matrix, the pseudo-inverse matrix is calculated. It is represented as the G plus matrix. G plus matrix is calculated as G transpose into G. So, take a transpose of G, you will get G transpose, multiply that G transpose with the G, you will get one matrix. Take a inverse of that matrix, you will get again one matrix. Then that matrix is to be multiplied with again G transpose. Then you will get G plus matrix. Then this G plus matrix is used to calculate these weights. So these weights are calculated as G plus matrix into the desired response. Now we'll see one example. Now see here, example is design XOR problem with given data set as 1, 1, 0, 1, 0, 0, 1, 0 and find weight vector. Now, this type of examples can be solved using the RBF because this example represents the non-linear pattern. Now, what is non-linear pattern? See here, suppose my classes are, this is one class and this is the second class. Then using a single line, I can divide the input space into two regions where this region belongs to one class and this region belongs to the second class. So this type of problem can be solved using the linear separable pattern. Okay, but now suppose my classes distribution is like this. This is one class, this is second class, this is second class, this is the first class. Then using a single line, I am not able to divide this input space into two regions. This type of problem is called as non-linear separable pattern, and the RBF has the non-linear kernel. It transforms the non-linear space into the linear space. So XOR problem is an example of a non-linear because for 1, 1 we are having 0 output, for 0, 1, 1, for 0, 0, 0, for 1, 0, 1. So if you plot this on the graph, then it is like this. For 0, 0 we are having 0 output. For 1, 1 we are having 0 output, and for this we are having 1, and for this we are having 1 output. So this is non-linearly separable example. So now we'll see how this weight matrix is calculated so that the clustering is done here. Now we write down this data, the input patterns are given and the desired output according to the XOR. Now, first step is we have to calculate the Euclidean distance from each input to the another unit. So, Euclidean distance of 1, 1 to 0, 1, then 1, 1 to 0, 0, then 1, 1 to 1, 0, then 0, 1 to 0, 0, 0, 1 to 1, 0, like this. Then the Euclidean distance is calculated as, suppose we have to calculate the Euclidean distance between these 2 points. Then it is calculated as square root of this 1 minus 0 square plus 1 minus 1 square. So this is square root of 1. Then 1, 1 to 0, 0. So square root of 1 minus 0 square plus 1 minus 0 square, that is square root of 2. Similarly, we'll calculate the Euclidean distance present in different centers. So now we can see here from this the square root of 2 is maximum. So the square of 2 is present 2 times here and here. So we can select the centers as either this or this. I am selecting 1, 1 and 0, 0. Okay. Now 1, 1 represent my first center, so T1. 0, 0 represent the second center, so T2 is 0, 0. Now we'll use the Gaussian matrix ka formula. So G is equal to e raised to minus m x minus t square upon d max square. So this m, we have selected 2 centers. For XOR we require 2 inputs. So we have selected 2 centers, so m is 2. X is input, T is selected center, divided by D max. The Euclidean distance is square root of 2. So square root of 2 square. So this square root of 2 square is 2. So this 2 and this 2 gets cancelled, and what remains? E raised to minus of x minus t square. Now using this we calculate the values. Now the Gaussian matrix is designed as we have seen here, the Gaussian matrix, first center, then second center, then bias. So here first center means x, this formula, according to this formula it is x minus t1 square, x minus, that is e raised to minus of x minus t1 square, e raised to minus of x minus t2 square, and the third column is reserved for the bias. Now we'll see how actually these values are calculated. Now the first column is t1, t2 and then b. So my t1 is what? The t1 is 1, 1, t2 is 0, 0. So how this value is calculated? Now see here, the columns are this first hidden function, second hidden function and bias, and the rows are the inputs. These are the inputs given. So now for this value, the t1 is 1, 1 and x is 1, 1. So I have written here this. Then we calculate the value as e raised to minus of x minus t square. So this is written as e raised to minus of 1 minus 1 square plus 1 minus 1 square. So this is e raised to minus 0, that is equal to 1. Now for this value t1 is 1, 1 and x is 0, 1. So this is as e raised to minus of 0 minus 1 square plus 1 minus 1 square. This is equal to 0.3678. Now for this column, t2 is 0, 0 and x is 1, 1. So this is 1, 1 and t2 is 0, 0. So we calculate these values. So according to this formula, we have to calculate this value. And third one is bias. By default, the bias input is 1. So I have written 1. So now after calculating the Gaussian matrix, so this is my Gaussian matrix. So now after calculating the Gaussian matrix, I'll multiply this Gaussian transpose into G, then we'll take a inverse, then again it is multiplied by G transpose. You can do this calculation in the calculator directly. Then the G plus matrix is this. Then after calculating the G plus matrix, it is to be multiplied with the D. Now remember here this D represent the desired response, and in this formula this D represent the maximum Euclidean distance. So don't get confused between this D. So for the XOR, we are solving this problem for the XOR. So for the XOR, the desired response is 0, 1, 0, 1. Then G plus matrix multiply by the desired response, you will get the weight matrix. So the first value is for the first selected center W1. Then second value is the W2 for the second selected center, and the third value is of the bias. So using this type of learning strategy, the weight matrix is calculated for this. So the clustering is done using this weight matrix and the bias, and then this clustering is given to the output layer. So this is the working of radial basis function. The RBF network is also used as the kernel function for the SVM, that is support vector machine. In the support vector machine, we are having the linear kernel that is used for the linear type of problem. Then RBF is used for the non-linear type of problem. Okay. Then the next topic in the 5th chapter is supervised learning after clustering. So as you know, the clustering is what? The clustering is the unsupervised learning, where we don't have the idea about the output. So what we do, we collect the data, then we study the relationship that exists between the input data, or we find out the common characteristics between the input data, and based on this we create the clusters. Okay, then these clusters are nothing but the outputs. So we map that outputs with the inputs, and that becomes the supervised learning problem. So we take an example. Suppose we gather the customer's data based on the purchase history, that this particular customer always purchases this type of items. So according to that purchase history, we divide the customers into the customer group 1, customer group 2, like this. Then we use this result for the cross selling. So this is the example of supervised learning after clustering. We can give the second example as the document clustering. So as you know, the documents belongs to the different items. So based on the common keywords, some of the documents contains the keywords related to sports, some of the documents related to fashion. So based on the common keywords, we divide the documents into the different clusters. Then once the clusters are formed, then from these clusters we extract the semantic features, and these features are given to SVM. Now SVM is what? The SVM is the supervised method. So these features are given to the supervised method for more accurate categorization. So again, this can be an example of supervised learning after clustering. So here the 5th chapter, we have covered all the contents of the 5th chapter. Now I'll send the next video regarding the PCA, ICA and SVD. Thank you.